is from our reading last night in Glenn
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Silverman's group. So let's see, back to the Kindle, back over here, because I think this was really this really spoke to me. Let's see, where is it? I highlighted it because it was 23. I remember now. Paragraph 23. Okay. All right. So and this I think this really spoke to me because it spoke to me of what has happened with me and so many other people who have studied A Course in Miracles. And I'll tell you, when I listened to all those Ken workshops that we listen to on a regular basis, and of course, they're I'm going to just on that. The same people come every week, every month, every year. They stand up and ask the same questions over and over. And of course, Ken knows them all. He knows the question. He knows the answer. He jokes and laughs with them, and it's a wonderful thing. But I just see those people in that same room day after day, year after year. And so this is from A Course of Love. This is from the prelude, paragraph 23. Seekers are but another category of those who at the precipice act as if they have hit a wall rather than come across a bridge. It is precisely the place at which you stopped that you must return to. Those who continue to seek may have left teachings of the Course or of one or another spiritual or religious tradition, only to find another and still another. For those intent on seeking, there is always more to seek. But those who find must stop to realize what they have found and to realize that they seek no more. And that's exactly where I'm at. I realize that, yes, I keep getting higher and higher every day. I have more and more insights, recognition every day. I do the lessons and it just brings me up and up and up and up. And once you're raised up there, what do? You go back down and start raising yourself up again. You go back in and start opening yourself up again. But here, Jesus is saying here, and I do believe this is the voice of Jesus, is saying here that you think you hit a wall, but you actually have come across a bridge. And it's precisely at that place that we have to recognize, I'm already here. What the heck? Oh, it's the bridge. I see it on my screen. I'm just
Right. Yeah.
I'm just gonna walk across it now.
I meant to tell you, like in the morning, I don't like to get on. I have two other groups I go to. I don't get on the screen at all. I just my guidance is just to stay quiet. I'm usually a big mouth in your groups, but other than that, I'm pretty quiet. I have no idea why, but that's what's been going on for me. Like I don't think Maureen even knows who I am. I don't come on camera. Not
Yeah,
because I just haven't been guided to. It was, when I started to go with her, it was because Joni had recommended it. And then somebody else, like I'll come on to other course groups, but I generally do not talk. And I thought, well, is that wrong? No, it's what I'm feeling. And if you're not moved to talk, you don't talk. If you're moved to talk, you'll talk.
that's right. That's right. And well, I'm not going to go into it, but I think, yeah, we do what we're here to do.
Well,
So,
yeah, and Joni felt bad because she's not there really anymore. But I said, no, I'll do it. And I mean, I love the way Maureen talks to her people. I do. But today, well, I don't want to say, but anyway, the people in that group are so wonderful. They're kind to each other, and I just like observing and just being a part of that, but without talking. But who knows? Maybe by next week I will. Who knows? When it comes up, it will happen. If not, I've always been like, before I ended up doing this stuff as a student in school, I was the quiet one. I didn't, usually participate. So, and then you've known me for years and I'm fully participating. And now it's kind of like, I just want to listen because I've heard, the, and I do believe Gather was my home. I never left Dove. I was always here on Thursday mornings with Dove. And so it's kind of like the plan for me was always come back to the course. But I also feel like the group that you have is very inviting. It has people in it that are regular people. They're not trying to be spiritual
Right.
because you are spirit. That's who you are.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're here reading Never Forget to Laugh, Personal Recollections of Bill Thetford by Carol Howe. And uh, it's just been so fun reading this story about Bill and his life, and looking forward to Carol Howe is going to have a biography out soon. I don't know soon. Alan Ishak is working on it with her, so whenever that's done, we'll get to hear her side of the story. And I think it's good. All these elder statesmen of the course, how it came about that they came together, and that's it. It's everybody came together for a purpose, and I love that. So we're reading about, let's see, wow, seems like it's been a while, but it really has not. um,
Well, because last week, did we do this last week?
I think we did not because you were not well.
I forget what happened.
Yeah, so yeah. But so this is so last week, July 4th, was the day that Bill walked down, said, "This is my Independence Day," and walked out onto the sidewalk and collapsed with a
Yes,
arrest.
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So it was his Independence Day, and he knew it. So I'm reading some talk about this very time. So Pat Hopkins, who was a friend, also had a very telling dream 3 weeks before Bill's passing. Excerpts cited from that dream reveal the magnitude of Bill's transformation and the universal availability of that information in the one mind we all share. So, yeah. So in the dream, his friend, Calvin Hatcher, the only other administrator at Columbia who knew at the time what he and Helen were up to, had taken Bill and me to an opera in New York City. For whatever reason, our tickets were split and Bill was sitting 2 or 3 rows in front of me. Calvin and Judy were in my row, and further down the line was Frances Vaughn. About the time people would be reading their program notes, some ladies came through. Uh, if you were at a ball game, you would say there were hot dog and beer hawkers. But these were very straight, ethereal-looking ballerina type ladies, and they were handing out chocolate sundaes, for which Bill had a particular fondness. Not only were there chocolate sundaes, but those coffee crunch things that you put on top, which he also loved. I thought this was very strange, but they were very good, and I noticed he was eating his. About the time you'd expect the overture to begin, Bill stood up from his chair, turned around to face us, and said, "I have come full circle in my life. All the things that I didn't understand, all the things I was afraid to say, I now want to share with you." He proceeded to give the most exquisite, simple, eloquent speech that moved absolutely everybody. Knowing how he hated to speak in public and the anxiety it caused him, the relaxation with which he delivered this truth of his life was an incredible thing to behold. When he was finished, Frances, Judy, Calvin, and I looked at each other and we said we thought we knew Bill, but this was a totally new dimension of this person that we all love so much. Nobody applauded, but when he finished, everybody stood up with tears streaming down their cheeks. The house was filled with people started to gather in small clumps or groups and began to tell each other the truth of their lives with the same utter defenselessness, vulnerability, and trust that he had exhibited when he stood and talked with us. I saw Bill beaming down on absolutely everyone at what he had set in motion. That was the end of the dream. The next morning, when I awakened, I was in a joyful state. I knew that Bill had come to something in his life that was totally freeing, absolutely new, and the achievement of a lifetime. Naturally, my ego got involved and wondered if it was my own projection. So I waited eagerly for his next visit and to share the dream with him, to, to see for myself whether or not it was true. As we know now, or as we now know, it was a dream, but it was also true. So yeah, what a dream. Have you ever had a dream like that? Or
Yeah,
someone, I mean, like that's very detailed. And
yeah, it really is. It's like
and
I mean, what I love right now in the Course in Miracles works in you in such a incredible way. It's like a surprise, because I honestly, I think that Bill was just like a gift to every human that ever met him, you know?
oh yeah, yeah. He lifted people through his by his presence. And of
Yeah,
course that's how Jesus did too. Jesus lifted people by his presence, and that's how people were healed. Um, Ken lifted people by his presence. I experienced that with him. Um, well, Sebastian, I have to bring in Sebastian. Dove's probably shaking his head. There she is, the Sebastian again. But he lifts people with his presence. Just
no, I didn't go last night. I have him on, but was he there? Is he
no,
go
he
there?
wasn't there. No, no, he wasn't there. He only comes at certain special times, but because we're doing a course of love, of course, that's not. He didn't write that, but
Right.
um, but I see him. I have other meetings where I see him, and the thing is with, it's not, it's almost like, if somebody brought like a perfect kitten. I say kitten because we have these cats, just this perfectly sweet innocent kitten, and just put it in the midst of a group of people, and everybody would just look at that and go, oh my God, that's the most beautiful thing I ever saw. you know that's how I feel about Sebastian. Just his presence is just uh, so joyful and innocent, and
Childlike, right?
childlike. Yeah, childlike. Even though he's obviously he's a grown man. He's been to university. He's been in business. He had a whole career. It's just it's still I see him in that just um, so innocent way, so childlike. Um,
But he really, he's the model of what because on Independence Day, he died.
yeah, yeah,
He died, but he said, today's my Independence Day. That was the last thing he said,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, and that's what that's how Bill he just became this very um open and childlike person,
Hmm.
where he had been a professor and a PhD, and he had to have some very serious persona to be able to do that. That is not an easy thing. None of those things he did. Almost like Michael Singer, though. I read the Surrender Experiment, and then I read uh, uh, Ken, Bill's life, and I'm just, you know, um, all the things that coincidental things that happened to him. Like, he coincidentally, because he didn't have any other qualifications, ended up working for the nuclear experiments at the university in Chicago, and he was part of that whole program. And he worked for the CIA doing the personality assessments, and he had a lot of jobs that you would not equate with a realized person. You would not equate with a spiritual seeker. You would not equate these things with anything that he actually was. But he had this life that just happened by coincidence. So many coincidences that brought him to the place where he was there and open with Helen, and able to absorb this material and live it. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
I do too. I do too. Yeah.
Okay, so you want me to keep reading or you want to read? I'll keep reading. All right. So Hugh noted, although he never talked to him about this specifically, the dream, he thought Bill understood that the greatest thing we can do for the world is to awaken individually. He and Gail strongly felt he did awaken by the end of his earthly life and accomplished it in a relatively short time. He observed, at the end of his life, Bill was going around telling everybody not to take this course so seriously, taking the ego lightly. Not that one doesn't revere or appreciate it, just don't make it into such a rigid, deadly thing. He still had his little soap operas with extensive travel plans on the drawing board, other relationship and living arrangements offers on the table, and there was the real Bill. Toward the end, he got into that wonderful state of mind where he could awaken. You could see it all so clearly. He was smart enough not to get involved. Back in the world, a perfect time for him to leave. And yeah, that's it exactly. He recognized that there's no purpose in the world, no purpose to be involved in the world, no purpose to be afraid of the world. He just realized, that there was nothing here. So, don't take it seriously. And I love it that you're reading that, taking the ego lightly, um, because that's really what Jesus says throughout the
That's
book.
pretty much what he's saying all through the book, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So after he passed, I asked Gail what confirmed for her that he really had awakened. She answered, a great burst of joy came to me during his memorial service. So, that and that really is it. How is it making you feel? How is it making you feel? That's how if you're with an awakened person, you're going to feel joy because unless you are really, really resistant, but if you have an open heart and mind, if you're with a person who also has that open heart and mind, you're going to experience it and you're going to feel joy. Now, that's how I know I'm not because I pissed so many people off. But
Well, I don't even know if that's even, I don't know. I don't know enough to say that, you know?
I know, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I would think more people like you than don't.
Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely true, and I exaggerate. Um,
Yeah.
that that well, and oh yes, I see it exactly right now. Because if I think a person doesn't like me, what does that mean? It means I don't like them. It means there's something about them that doesn't fit right, not right. So I think about the people that, yes, I do have some still active grievances. I can tell because when the image comes up in my mind, the feeling comes up of, uh, and I need to do exactly what Deidre was talking about, and look at those feelings and say, when was the first time I felt this way, and what does it have to do with me? I'm not that thing. So yeah, I got work to do. So uh and I don't know. I don't care. I'm doing it. And as long as I recognize it and do it, that's all. What more can you ask? Good God.
You
What
can't.
I am.
No, you just can't. You know, this lesson today, our today's lesson, I feel
Oh
that
my
is like
God.
that's probably the best lesson ever, you know, in the whole course. Well,
Yeah.
they all are. They all are. They
Yeah. We
really.
were talking about this yesterday a lot. Oh, I know because Jimmy Twyman yesterday was 188. The peace of God is shining in me now. And that's such a great lesson. And I remember when he did that revival and that was one of the first of the lessons that he put to music. And we were all singing it. Everybody was going around singing it. He has a video of, people all over the world singing it. And, it's all great and fun. The peace of God is shining in me now. But, I think still I'm the home of evil, darkness, and sin, which is really I mean, it's just so silly to still imagine that. But then, we were talking yesterday about what lesson 189, and that this lesson, um, I feel the love of God within me now. I know when I first read that lesson, can we just go and look at it real quick while we're
Yeah, bring
here?
it up. I think that's such a great lesson.
Yeah, I do too. Let me see. How do I get over? Move this bar. There's a bar in my way. Mom, there's a bar in my way. I got to move it over and wait now for this. Very slow. Why this internet? Ever since, last Sunday, I don't know if y'all knew this, it was Sunday or Saturday. My internet was down all day, 13 hours. My internet was down. And
Right, because we were there on Saturday. Yeah.
yeah, so I have to actually go and tell my cable, because now they're charging me extra for using my data. Like, you don't charge me extra for using my data when you cut off my internet for a whole day. Come on, give me a break. But I'll work it out with them. They're saying, "Do you want a credit?" Hell yes, I want a credit. Give me a credit. All right. So, lesson 189.
You have the most gorgeous voice. Do you know that?
No.
Like, no, but you do. You really do. I heard Regina say that once when you were on. She said, "I love your voice." Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see it, but that's what it's coming out of my head. I don't know. But thank you for that. Thank you for that. I
Oh,
made
it's
it
so
myself.
soothing. Are you kidding? It's soothing.
All right. Thank you. Lesson 189. I feel the love of God within me now. There is a light in you the world cannot perceive, and with its eyes you will not see this light, for you are blinded by the world. Yet you have eyes to see it. It is there for you to look upon. It was not placed in you to be kept hidden from your sight. This light is a reflection of the thought we practice now. To feel the love of God within you is to see the world anew, shining in innocence, alive with hope, and blessed with perfect charity and love. And I just love this. This is just so beautiful, because he's telling us there's something in you that the world doesn't see, but you know it's there. This is just what we were talking about. You know it's there. It is you. It is what you are. And when we begin to look upon ourselves as this holy thing that he's talking about, then we can begin to see the world in a whole different way. And that's, we talked about the borderland, we talked about the real world. I think Gloria and I are going to do a podcast about the real world. We're going to start doing like a
That
regular.
would be so soothing because I love her voice too.
I know she's adorable. Yeah. So the real.
Sharon we have a great group of people. We really do.
Absolutely do. Absolutely we do. Um, I love it. I love our people so much. Um, so this is really what we've been talking about really all morning, is that this thing that I am is this light of love in the world. Uh, Light links in the chain of love is what Mother Mary told Sebastian. We are light links in the chain of love, and that's exactly. So to feel the love of God within me, say this to myself. I feel the love of God within me. To feel the love of God within me is to see a world anew. And that's really what we're talking about, is seeing the world in a different way. Because there is a world that is love, is light, and it is occupying the same territory. That's when you were reading that from Sailor Bob and said the territory is the map, even though that was not what he was saying the territory is not the map. But when you said that, I envisioned a map, and I envisioned this territory, and it was similar to Australia in my mind, and realized that if that's what you think you are, then that territory is your map. That
Right.
map is your territory. And if that's where you think you are, then you are stuck in that territory. You can't move out. But to feel the love of God is to see that there are no boundaries. There's nothing that comes between us and nothing that can come between us. And so that is why it's so important for you and me and all of us to open our eyes to the reality of what we are, because otherwise, we're seeing a world that's filled with fear and sorrow, anger, judgment. That's all we see. And even though it's interesting, in my in my experience, that's not what I want to see. So he says, who could feel fear in such a world as this? It welcomes you, rejoices that you came, and sings your praises as it keeps you safe from every form of danger and of pain. It offers you a warm and gentle home in which to stay a while. It blesses you throughout the day and watches through the night as silent guardian of your holy sleep. It sees salvation in you and protects the light in you, in which it sees its own. It offers you its flowers and its snow in thankfulness for your benevolence. So who could fear a world such as this? I don't know. What do you think, Sharon?
Yeah, well, it's always about where am I seeing from? Am I seeing from vision, or am I seeing from my eyes, which don't see anything? They're just seeing. Well, it's a picture of your mind when you see from your eyes.
Yeah. And it's a picture of this is what I want to see. And
Right.
it's hard to understand that and believe that if you haven't had the experience of it. And for me, the experience is something that I have really reached for, searched for, tried for, um, to have that experience of the oneness, that experience of uh, not remembering that that you and I are one, but remembering that I am the one mind, and that is, it's not even connecting to something that I'm not connected to. I am it. I'm the center of it. Everything, everything I see um, is extended from my being. So, I don't have to try. There was no separation. That's the thing to understand, that I don't have to heal the separation. There never was a separation. There never could have been a separation. The thing I have to heal is my thought that a separation has occurred or could occur. And when I give up that thought that I could ever have been separate from God and recognize, looking at it, that, it's been here the whole time. There's never been a moment when I have been separated. That's when I really begin to see that no one else is separate either. There is no one else. And you are in my heart, you are in my mind, you're in my soul, you're in my being. You are what I am. And when I speak to you, I hear my voice. When I when I when I when you speak to me, you know, I hear the angels singing. When I'm open to hear that, because that's the truth of what it is. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
Well, look, it's always about where my mind is. If I see a world that just blesses everything and is just just illuminated. That's the way I see my world now. The illumination of consciousness is just this illumination of light. And the light that I am is what everybody else is. So the way of dealing the thankfulness for the benevolence is happening from spirit. It can't happen from the ego, because in the ego we see um, it's different from the world through darkened eyes of malice and fear. And we do have fear. I mean, I remember when I moved to Altoona, I had so much fear. I didn't see the trees. I didn't see anything. I just saw thought. In fact, I would say to people, if you were in my head, you'd jump out, because it was a constant doomed head. And, the Course in Miracles gives us promises, but it keeps every one of them. And the thing that I see is as a world that I could see as hatred, I could now see it as just a perfect illumination of oneness. To keep my eyes, the eyes itself have absolutely nothing to do with the seeing. The seeing is happening from the light of the mind. So that's it. So this quietness, I love the quiet answer too. That's in the book. The quiet answer is a beautiful part of our repertoire for what we're reading. I don't mean to, because I believe me, I love Marianne Williamson, but I was listening to her yesterday, and she, the only thing that I got back from Spirit is she's playing her part, because she basically is talking a lot about the world. And I often wondered, because she's a great course teacher, why she does that. Like, why does she even want to bother with the world if there's no world? But that's because it's her part. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I definitely would agree because, yeah, I would see that, the only point of doing that is because you're in fear. And of
I
course,
don't think she is, though. Like, I get the impression that she comes back immediately.
well,
She just
but
she's
it doesn't
yeah.
matter. She's still saying it.
Well, she said,
Are you there?
yeah,
You,
when she was on John Mondays, she was saying she's not enlightened, but she is enlightened. Everybody is. So
well, yeah,
I just
everybody is, but not everybody knows it. So,
right, right,
and
and
so she still
she's
thinks there's a
but
world.
but I will say that she knows the course darn well. I mean, she's a pretty famous teacher, but she's only practicing to a certain point, because that's her part in the world, to be.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah,
why I was reading that from A Course of Love. You do it over and over and over, and then because you think you're hitting a wall, things should be changing, people should be loving, the world should not look like this. And then you realize that that's not a wall, it's really just a bridge. And all you have to do is cross it to
right.
get to this place what he's talking about here. But as long as you're looking at it and saying I can't go there, I still have to stay here and make sure this is fixed. There's nothing here to be fixed. That's the
Yeah.
thing, there's nothing here to be fixed. So I don't care what, I do think that it and there's a purpose for it, obviously. I do think it misrepresents the course because, if people know A Course of Miracles and they are getting all this talk of being fearful in the world, then it kind of negates the point. What's the point of there is no world if I'm going to be so afraid of who gets elected or what the government does?
Well,
What does
I
that have
think
to do
she's
with
just
me?
as serving, like it's like Nelson Mandela. There's so many Gandhi. They were spiritual teachers, but they still dealt with the world.
Right, and that's for their students. I'm not Marianne's student,
Right.
you
No,
know.
but I will tell you, she was my first teacher, and she was a great teacher, a
Yeah.
really great teacher.
Oh yeah,
But
and she could say a lot of good stuff, and I mean, I'm sure she speaks a lot of truth. I'm sure she speaks a lot of truth. But I mean that you have a pitcher of water on your desk and you pick it up and you pour the water out. Does the pitcher know anything about that? No. Just the water going. The water is the only thing that
right,
has any meaning. So
yeah,
the pitcher is just a vessel.
That's right.
And whatever it is that she's doing, maybe, helping people out of fear, helping, who
Well, yeah,
knows?
because there's a midpoint to like, well, let's take the 12 steps. She teaches it the course like the 12 steps, because the 12 steps you always share about what you want to bring up and then let go of. But you bring it up and you all chat about it. Now that's pretty much the way I see Maureen's group. They talk a lot, not maybe in your group when you're in there, but the early morning. And that is helpful for a lot of beginning students because it
Yes,
makes them at least
exactly.
not afraid, like that they can still see we're all doing it, until, we get to a place where obviously if there's no, I doubt whether I'll ever leave Gather because I like the fellowship. I love fellowship. I think fellowship helps us a great deal.
Oh yeah, and well, that's our reflection. If you
Yeah,
don't have the reflection, how are you going to know how if your hair's looking right? You know,
right.
you got
Yeah,
to have the reflection to gauge your place here. And we're all helping each other out, walking each other home, and all that business too. So, so this is the world the love of God reveals. This
right,
world of peace and love and happiness. It is so different from the world you see through darkened eyes of malice and of fear that one belies the other. Only one can be perceived at all. The other one is wholly meaningless. A world in which forgiveness shines on everything and peace offers its gentle light to everyone is inconceivable to those who see a world of hatred rising from attack, poised to avenge, to murder and destroy. And so this is he's just offering again the same. Which world do you want to see?
right,
You want to see the world that's peace and love and joy? It's here. You want to see a world that's hatred, murder, attack, bombing, starving children. You want to see that? There have your have your choice. This is what you want. We think, well, it would be uh, it would be irresponsible for me to go to heaven and leave all these other people here to suffer. Well, here's the deal that the course really does talk about, and people just, it isn't something that is really considered, is that when I am no longer seeing that world does not exist because it never existed in the first place. And this is what he's saying here. Only one can be perceived at all. The other one is wholly meaningless. So when I shift to perception of seeing
right,
the world, and I know this upsets a lot of people. I tried to talk to my son about this yesterday. Your children are not here. They don't even exist. They're part of this dream. Your parents are part of this dream. Your country is part of this dream.
right,
When you wake up from the dream, they are no longer there because they were never there in the first place. They were only in your mind. That's where the dream is. It's in your mind. So, don't worry. He's worried, what happens, because he's older. He's older. Okay, I had him when I was 20. Uh, so, uh, and I'm 72 now. So he just turned 52. That makes sense, right?
wow. My
So
son, my oldest is going to be 46, and I think that's old.
yeah, yeah, and he has two children. He has a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
And the Sam Arthur will be 3 in August, so he's almost 3. Um, but he's like, what's going to happen to them, when I die? Of course, he's still very much in the world, and I'm thinking, honey, they only exist to be in your mind, just like they only exist to be in my mind. It's all my mind, all of it. So it's not, nothing is going to happen. You think you're on the other side of something. You think that, and this is so hard to see. These stories are just stories. and none of them are really happening.
Right, but we have to get that. Your son is just, if he's not practicing this, he's gonna have, do you
No,
have, what, he's one of your oldest ones. You have two that are older?
he's my oldest. Yeah, yeah.
So he's 52, and then when did you have another one?
And then Chloe was born in 76, so she will be uh, uh, 49. Is that right? Yeah.
No, because Andrew was born in 79, and he's gonna be 46, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Did I say 50? I meant 40.
Oh, your
Uh,
son's gonna be 46, okay.
no, my son is 52. My daughter
Oh,
will be 48.
okay. Wow.
Yeah,
It's weird
49.
because there's no time either. It's all
Yeah,
like a virtual reality that we're just looking at the shots. And for the
right.
most part, we're not really here because it's a projector. So the projector goes in and out, and we are not aware. Because if we just sit and put our index finger right through our eyes, we would see that there's no head. It's the headless way. So, but the stories I was addicted to, and now there's no need for them. Can you bring up 4? Yet is the world of hatred equally
Yes.
unseen?
Yeah, you
Because,
want to read?
okay, yet is the world of hatred equally unseen and inconceivable to those who feel God's love in them. Their world reflects the quietness and peace that shines in them, the gentleness and innocence they see surrounding them, the joy with which they look out from the endless wells of joy within. What they have felt in them, they look upon and see it, sure reflection everywhere. And that's really the miracle. The miracle itself, you can't have a miracle and still believe the world is real. But I actually did have miracles from the beginning. And I still had so much undoing and still do, because the undoing, it's happening, all by itself. And it's it's me, like, to say we were, I don't know about you, Lynn, but I heard awakening out of some people's mouths, especially teachers, um, so much that I thought it was a big deal. And it's really just, the natural way. It's your natural state. And your natural state is always, always in the now. Your natural state is what we are. And that's why it's so familiar, right? So it's always like, do I want it? The politics that's out there, it became boring for this mind. It really did. And, God knows I was not a big favor of this administration, but now I realize that I don't even know what they're here for. There could be a higher reason, because everything is done for our good, but it might take, as it takes the process, it takes time.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And we don't know. We
we don't
honestly do
know.
not
Mm-mm.
know. That's and that's the beauty of it, is that, who wants to, some people do, some people don't. Who wants to go and see a movie that you know everything about, that
I'll
has
be
no,
right back, Lynn. Right
okay,
back.
who wants to go and see the same movie over and over every day, every day, every day? It is entertaining. You do enjoy it. Um, if it's your favorite movie, it's great. If it's not your favorite movie, it's a pain in the butt and you hate it. But you see the same thing over and over and over, you know, and who wants that? You're going to get it. But when you decide to change a channel, or, go to a different theater, you're going to see a different movie. And, that's, if you want to see a movie that is nothing but love and that you feel great about, you know, then get out of this world, get out of these judgments, these ideas, because that's what's holding you back. And that's what, he's saying, when you see an innocent world, and how many times in this course does Jesus tell us, if you could just see one brother as being worthy of forgiveness, if you could just see one brother as wholly sinless, if you could just see one brother as innocent, look at this brother that you hate, look at them, and see the light fill up in them. See that light fill up and grow. See that light encompass them and then come and grow in you and encompass itself in you. Become aware of the sinlessness of one brother, just one. That's one of those lessons that if you could really do that, it would change everything. It's the whole course. And that's really all that he's asking. Become the one who sees the innocent world. Become the one who sees the world of gentleness. Become the one who sees sinlessness, even the most heinous incident, to see that is nothing but love and see the love that's there. And what you feel, you see everywhere. And it becomes a reflection of your being. And that
Yes.
Rocky says that all the time, it's just reflecting back to you what you're giving out. Don't be surprised when people love you. Just recognize it's reflecting back at you the thing they
Right.
they love. That's so beautiful. So what would you see? The choice is given you. But learn and do not let your mind forget this law of seeing. You will look upon that which you feel within. If hatred finds a place within your heart, you will perceive a fearful world held cruelly in death's sharp pointed bony fingers. If you feel the love of God within you, you will look out on a world of mercy and of love.
Hmm.
Drop right there, Jesus.
Ralphie's here, Robert's here. So look at that. We have people coming in.
Yeah,
Good.
hey, good to see you guys. So this is it. What would you see? This is a choice that's been given to you, and you can choose to see life, love, joy, innocence, or you can choose to see hatred.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think, Sharon?
Well, what I don't want to think. The thinking is the problem. What I think right now is that we have a choice now. And I'm going to say this, when you really know you have a choice, you'll only make the right choice. But many people, when you have an upset, it takes over your mind. So I don't have that anymore. But, I don't know because you don't know again, these are all blockages. So whatever blockage is in the system is going to show up. And what I think we need to be present with is you're not the blockage because you're not the ego. How can you be just a thought? And I think for this mind to let go of Sharon was a challenge because I guess I liked playing her. How about you, Lynn? Did you like
Oh,
playing
oh,
Lynn?
oh. Absolutely. I love Lynn.
Yeah, I do too.
I love Lynn. I adore Lynn,
Yeah.
and recognize Lynn is adorable. What a wonderful character. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, you
she,
played a nice well, see, both of us had nice parts in the play.
yeah,
Let's
she's,
face it, I would play the nice person. You
yeah,
know, I could
and
be a real bitch, but I I don't that's not a pattern in me that's very common. I'm generally not at all. And what would happen then is that would just be a blockage that I was hitting in myself.
yeah,
And the blockages that show up are just showing up to help us actually. Oh, that would be like what Dove says. It's a trigger. It's a trigger.
that's right. Absolutely. And so, yeah, so and I see that. And that's that's when I look at everybody. I see everybody is trying. Be kind because everybody you meet's fighting a hard battle.
That's right.
Everybody is
Yeah,
trying. There's not a single being in this universe that is not trying to remember its oneness with its source, because that's the only thing that's real. And so of course we're going to run to that. So we have that choice. So that's if you just say that to yourself every day, what would I see? What do I want to see? What do I want to see? So I want to keep reading this a little bit. Uh, I know this is, but I want to get to this paragraph that we all know and love. So today we pass illusions as we seek to reach what is true in us and feel its all embracing tenderness, its love which knows us perfect as itself, its sight which is the gift its love bestows on us. We learn the way today. Today, he's meaning right now. Today, we're going past these illusions. We're learning this today. It is as sure as love itself to which it carries us. For its simplicity avoids the snares, the foolish convolutions of the world's apparent reasoning, but serve to hide. And this is, he's just saying, today we're doing this, all right, okay? And I'm going to ask you and remind you, every time you've heard this, has it not always been today? I've
Right
heard
here, right now, you can't
I've
do
heard
anything.
I've
Right,
heard this today.
right.
You want to
It's
read this
only now,
paragraph?
it's only now, it's only now.
So how do we do it? How is it done? How is this magic trick done? Sharon, would you like to read?
Okay, this is really my favorite.
I
Just
know, that's why I want you to read it.
right. Okay, simply do this. Be still. Lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is, all concepts you have learned around the world, all images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false, or good or bad, of every thought it judges worthy, and the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief you ever learned before from anything. Forget this course, forget this world, forget this course, and come with wholly empty hands unto our God. And that is just the most beautiful prayer because we don't really know what we are. I mean, we could say we're in awareness, but as soon as we say we're awareness, we lose it because it's like saying the Tao. As soon as you speak the Tao, you lose it. And the Tao and the Christ are the same. So it's all happening for us. And what I find about the book that is so great is that Jesus is asking us to forget this world, forget this course, to just say, I don't know. And that's basically where we all want to be. Oh, Mickey's here too. Hi, Mickey. Anyway, yeah, so that's a beautiful, beautiful end to our morning for me. If anybody else wants to talk, that's fine.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So we talk about this all the time. This is our marching orders from Jesus. And this exactly, this to me was the end of A Course in Miracles. To me, this is the marching order that he gave to me to just, be still and lay aside all concepts, all thoughts of what I am, all thoughts of what God is, all concepts I've learned about the world, all images I hold about myself. Empty my mind of everything it thinks is either true or false or good or bad, of every thought it judges worthy, and all the ideas of what it is, of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Just let go of all of us. Forget this world. Forget this course. Come with holy empty hands unto your God. And then paragraph 8, he says, and this to me is the kicker. I love the other. I love that paragraph. But this to me is the kicker because he says, is it not he who knows the way to you? You need not know the way to him. Your part is simply to allow all obstacles that you have interposed between the Son and God the Father to be quietly removed forever. It doesn't say you go and remove them, he says you just allow them to be quietly removed forever. God will do his part in joyful and immediate response. Ask and receive. But do not make demands, nor point the road to God by which he should appear to you. The way to reach him is merely to let him be, for in that way is your reality proclaimed as well. So we have that other paragraph that tells us, here's how you do it. This is how you do it. Yep, that's how you do it. Give up all this stuff. Give up all this stuff. Forget about this. Forget about that. All right, I'm going to start working on that right now. Let
Thank
me,
you, Lynn. Thank you so much.
but remember, it's him who knows the way to me. I don't need to know the way to him. I don't need to do anything. I just need to allow all the obstacles to be quietly removed forever. And who does that? God does that. And Karen, yes, please go ahead.
Hi, ladies. I was listening to you on the radio. You both sound wonderful. Um, I love that you read that prayer, Lynn. And do you mind if I read a very short paragraph in the chapter 31, the simplicity of salvation? It is very similar to that paragraph you just read, but it's a lot shorter. Par
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Let us be still an instant and forget all things we ever learned, all thoughts we had, and every preconception that we hold of what things mean and what their purpose is. Let us remember not our own ideas of what the world is for. We do not know. Let every image held of everyone be loosened from our minds and swept away. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Amen. Where was that again? All right.
That's in chapter 31, the simplicity of salvation. It's paragraph 12.
I'm going to go and look at that. And I, um, I don't know what I should do. I really want to keep this conversation going on the same thread. So I am not going to stop this YouTube and start another one. I'm just going to keep this going. So which was it? 31?
Chapter 31, simplicity of salvation, paragraph 12. And the last paragraph, paragraph 13, is equally as beautiful if you want to read that one too.
Okay, because yeah, uh, I think because yeah, this is beautiful and it goes perfectly with with the lesson of the day. The lesson of the day. And oh man, what a great section this is. So yeah, let us be still an instant and forget all things we ever learned, all thoughts we had, and every preconception that we hold of what things mean and what their purpose is. Let us remember not our own ideas of what the world is for. We do not know. Let every image held of everyone be loosened from our minds and swept away. I love that. Karen, would you like to read the next paragraph?
Be innocent of judgment, unaware of any thoughts of evil or of good that ever crossed your mind of anyone. Now do you know him not? But you are free to learn of him and learn of him anew. Now he is born again to you, and you are born again to him. Now is he free to live as you are free, because an ancient learning passed away and left a place for truth to be reborn. Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. Did I mishear or did this sentence 4 Now is he born again to you, and you are born again to him, without the past that sentenced him to die, and you with him. For some reason, I didn't hear you say that
Oh,
sentence to
oh my
die.
gosh. Oh my gosh. I might have skipped right over, but now that you read it, what it reminds me of, well, first of all, of course, this reminds me of the holy instant, the eternal now. And I can't believe I didn't read that part, but you're probably right. The ego didn't want to see that because that is really the linear time. It's linear time where the past is the sin. And without the past, we can't sentence him to die to punishment. We can't sentence him to death because there's no guilt. There's nothing. It's just right here and right now. And the Course reminds us that to be born again is to let the past go and look without condemnation on the present. This is what I love about this Course. It really repeats itself over and over, and it's always about bringing us back to the present moments. Forgiveness, forgiving our brother, you know, there's nothing, it's over. This past sentence I just read is over. It's just right now, it's crazy. And that's what these lessons have been. These last couple lessons, yesterday's lesson and today's lesson, is all about the now. And I love that you guys read the lesson for today. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. Yeah, that was just pure inspiration. So I appreciate that. This is awesome. So what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to stop the share for a moment, and I'm going to go ahead and close out this YouTube.